Joining me in studio is retired New York State Supreme Court Justice Penny Wolfgang. The former president plans to appeal. We know that that's likely going to happen, but how is that going to work, and on what grounds will we see an appeal?
There is an automatic appeal in New York State after a conviction, a felony conviction. Within 30 days, you have to file, the defendant must file a notice of appeal. And after that, it takes a long time to get the transcript to go ahead with the appeal for the one side and the other side to put all their, paperwork and documents in to get a copy of the record and so forth. It takes a long time. And the issues are going to be monumental because in an ordinary appeal, there are all the same, very similar issues, and now you add on. There are issues concerning way back to before jury selection, even pretrial motions that were made that might have been denied. There's issues probably on the jury selection, the jury itself. There's issues even when they ask the judge to recuse himself. That'll be an issue, and it was denied. There'll be issues during the trial. But the one thing that's important to know about an appeal is really, the appellate court has to look at the law, not everyone says, oh, the credibility of the witnesses were, a factor and so forth. Well, really, in an appeal, the legal issues are what counts. The law is what counts. The jury determines the facts, but the appellate divisions determine the law.
Very interesting. I want to talk about safety because there has been a lot of concern about the safety of the judge, the safety of the jurors, the safety of the prosecutors. How is this normally handled?
I'm sure that the jurors were told at the end of the trial, as I do, and we do in every trial, you are free now. You could not talk about any issues before, but now you are free to talk about any issues or anything you want, to identify yourselves however you want, but you don't have to. It's up to you. So I don't know what, whether the jurors are going to want to speak and want to tell the press or the media and be identified, and if they're not, I don't think their safety, they're supposed to be anonymous, and I don't think anybody would, supposedly know who they are, or their safety would be an issue. And as far as the judge goes, I believe he has security, as I did, and I don't know that it would be any extraordinary different from any other case as far as the security of the judge goes.
Well, I'm wondering, is it though? Because when you start reading things and you look at social media and people are not being very kind to these individuals.
I know.
So should there be heightened security for them?
Perhaps, and I'm sure that they'll take care of that in New York. I do, but it wouldn't be, as a judge, I wouldn't really be aware of what they would be doing as far as security goes. It's a separate jurisdiction and something else.
But you know what it's like to have security because that had happened to you at one point. Many people don't expect Mr. Trump to be sentenced to go to prison because he has no priors, but how does this factor in his upcoming cases?
Whether he goes to prison or not, let me put it this way. What I think is important for people to know now as far as the sentence goes is what's happening to determine what the sentence will be in this case. And what's happening is a probation report is ordered, and the probation department in New York, where the conviction occurred, will make a thorough examination, which is sort of ridiculous in a sense because of who you're talking about. It's so different from and unique from any other case. But in an ordinary case, in a regular case, and I think it's in the law, so they have to follow the law, even if it's the president or a former president. They're going to investigate. They're going to investigate everything to do with his background. Probation will interview him, and the judge will receive letters on his behalf if necessary. Then the court they could even send a social worker probation department to interview him, and they will look at factors like his employment, which is really a funny thing to say, or lack thereof, his record, his prior record, if any, which is also a funny thing to say. In this case, they will look at his likelihood of fleeing the jurisdiction, his likelihood of repeating the crime, his whole history, his background. That's what we do to determine what a sentence would be, a proper sentence. And I think you have to remember that this is a white-collar crime. There is, in a sense, in a violent crime, a violent felony, we talk to the probation would talk to the victim and the victim's family. Well, in this case, there isn't a victim that they can talk to. There's no possibility of restitution, so the answer is it going to be jail, any period of jail, or probation, or a combination of both, or house arrest, or, you know, there's a lot of alternatives too. And as far as a jail sentence goes, you know, it would be unusual, except that this is an unusual case.
Yeah.
It would be unusual for a person with no prior record in a white-collar crime like this is to be sentenced to jail. But
this is
a
case for sure.
I can't answer that. It's going to be up to the judge.
And I know as we're wrapping up, you are from Manhattan originally. Are you just glad that that was not you on the bench?
Am I allowed to say that? I'm so glad it wasn't me, Claudine. It was really a hard case, really difficult, legally and every other way.
Yeah, it's historic for sure. New York State Supreme Court Justice, retired Penny Wolfgang, joining us on the 530. Thank you so much for being here.